I left the hospital and headed to my mom's place to drop Tunde. I needed him to stay with my mom while we figured out how the next 3 months would pan out. Thankfully, my mom's love for Tunde is not reflective of her hate for Ronke. On my way to my mom's place, Jess called. Hi, Dave. I called last night, but you didn't pick up. I wanted to know how she took the news. I couldn't pass the news to her, Jess. She has end-stage leukemia, and the doctor said she has only 3 months. Woohoo! So why am I hearing sadness in your voice? It's good news for us, isn't it? Stop it, Jess. I don't want Ronke dead. I wanted everything to end good for everyone. Oh, please, whatever makes you sleep at night. All I know is that we don't have to be the bad people anymore. Nature has done its thing. Don't worry, you deserve some thrilling rewards for this. Let's meet at our usual place this evening. Not today, babe. I need to go now. I'm approaching a police checkpoint. I ended the call and started wondering what was happening to me. I would have jumped at any opportunity to be with Jess because she always hoarded sex from me because she doesn't want me to start taking her for granted. How was I not jumping on this opportunity? I got to my mom's place and she was all smiles. Sweet darling, congratulations. Jess just called me to tell me the good news. She said that girl you married is on her way to meet her creator. At least, this is the opportunity we all have been waiting for. She dies a natural death, and there is nobody to blame, she said, with all smiles and happiness on her face, as if she just won a $1 billion contract. Mom, I didn't come here for this. Please, I brought Tunde to stay here with you while I do some running around, I said without any excitement. Dave, I hope you are not doing anything to save that girl, she retorted as I drove out of the compound. 1 month has passed and there has been no improvement with Ronke, and with persistent hassles from both Jess and my mom, I began to feel like I was wasting my money with the chemotherapy. I needed all the money I could save for her burial and to take care of things after she goes, so why postpone the doomsday? When Dr. Uche called, I told him that I wanted to stop all treatments and give her a painless transition. Dr. Uche sounded shocked but agreed. I was her only advocate as Ronke insisted I do not tell anyone about her condition. Her aged father already shows signs of Alzheimer's and remembers little, so there was no need. These days, she's hardly awake to even know what's happening around her. She wakes up, asks after Tunde, and sleeps off mid-sentence. My visits to the hospitals have also slowed down as I hired a personal nurse to take care of stay with her. Jess, on the other hand, has already started planning for her wedding, sending me links to wedding gowns and the vendors she wants us to use. I have told her that we would need to wait for a while before she hear me, but she acts like she doesn't hear me. When I complain, she withholds sex, and then I'm forced to keep quiet. 1 month later, Ronke passed. We gave her a befitting burial, filled newspapers with her obituary, and even mounted a billboard to announce her obituary. Everyone kept pitying me and kept saying they wondered how I would cope with a 2-year-old boy. Pictures of me crying by her graveside filled all the blogs with some promotion, of course. I just wanted to paint the picture of a deeply grieving husband so that when I decided to marry Jess, no one would raise an eyebrow. I was able to make Jess wait for 1 year before we tied the knot. Before the wedding, we conducted an interview where we stated that Ronke specifically asked me to marry Jess so that she could take care of Tunde since she was Tunde's godmother. The ohs and ahs were everywhere online. Our wedding was also big, just as Jess wanted it to be. She moved into my house with her 13-year-old daughter from a past relationship gone wrong. As our marriage progressed, Jess' treatment of Tunde became worse and he continued to perform terrible in school. I kept getting calls from the head teacher to explain that he was so recluded and hardly participated in anything in school. Jess always told me not to worry as he would snap out of it. It was as a result of losing his mom and the new dynamics of our home, she would say. I begged Jess that if Tunde was too much for her to handle, I could send him to my mom, who loves him and would take care of him. But she said I was worrying for nothing. I returned from work one day and Jess told me that she pulled Tunde out of his school because they were over pampering him and he needed to go to a school where they would really deal him a strong hand and make him wake up to reality. It was a public school, but much closer to the home than the private school he was attending. Tough love, she called it. It sounded really good to me, and I was sold. The truth is that my love for Jess has blinded me on so many things, including the fact that my son's life or future may be at risk. Unknown to me, Jess' only motivation for all she was doing is to make sure that Tunde doesn't amount to anything so that her daughter, Judith, will be the one to inherit all of our wealth instead of Tunde. But I didn't know it at that time. We didn't have any other children, as we believed that two children were enough for us. We lived like this for 7 years with no improvement from Tunde, but Judith got a partial scholarship to go and do her bachelor's in the UK. I kept hounding Tunde and comparing him to his sister and wondered why he wasn't doing well in school. Jess would always mention that he must be dull like his mother and not everyone had the brain for school. What I didn't know was that Jess was maltreating Tunde. Each school morning goes like this. Tunde, Tunde, Jess exclaims as she goes into his room. Are you still sleeping, eh? She would whip Tunde with a stick. Come on, wake up. Lazy fool. Go clear up the dining where your dad ate. Then wash all the dishes in the kitchen, including the one you used in eating last night. I wonder who you left those plates for. Who is your slave in this house, eh? Who is your slave? Anyway, after that, make sure you clean and arrange this your room because it stinks. And do it fast so that you don't miss your school bus. Tunde would gently obey. He knew there was no way he would meet the school bus, but it didn't matter as that would happen every day. Tunde, you mean to tell me that the school bus left you? So you cannot do a little task and still meet up with the bus. How lazy can you be? Just like your mother. Anyway, take this money. You can go to the bus stop and take a bus directly to your school. After all, people of your age are already going to school on their own. It's just that you were over pampered and I can't take you because you are already smelling, Jess would say as she hands some money to 9-year-old Tunde for transport. Unfortunately, because Tunde is an introvert, he never breathed any word to me. He also saw how much love I had for Jess and knew that I may never take his sides or something. He just bore it all. Moreover, Jess always pretended like she treats Tunde well whenever I was at home. She would pamper Tunde and shower him with fake love so as to make Dave see Tunde as a person having the problem. So this went on and Tunde had learned to live like that. Judith returned back from the UK after her studies because her mom said that we needed to start grooming her and showing her the ropes of the business. Jess told her how she needed to be a sharp girl and not slack while dealing with Tunde. You see, he is the legitimate heir of this family, and being the boy, it is easy to give him everything, leaving you with nothing. You are 20 now, and if you start working in your dad's office within the next years, He would have learned the ropes and known everything about the business, so it would be easy to take over. So I need you to be wise. However, Judith decided to take laws into her own hands. Judith walks into the kitchen where Tunde was washing plates and began to touch him inappropriately. Auntie Judith, what are you trying to do? Don't worry, Tunde. I want to teach you something that big uncles and aunties do. She made to place Tunde's hands on her body, and Tunde pulled back abruptly. Tunde, why are you running? Come to Mama. Tunde responded, No, I don't think this is okay, Auntie Judith. Judith picked up four expensive breakable plates from the sink and dashed them on the ground. Tunde, Tunde, Judith exclaimed, Why did you break those plates? As Tunde saw what was happening, he bolted towards the back door and ran out of the house. He knew that if his stepmother meets him and is convinced he broke the place, he would be dead. So he just kept running without looking back. Jess called me at the office to tell me that Tunde ran out of the house. I hurried home and called the DPO, who was a friend to the family. He said we needed to wait for 48 hours before we could report him as missing, but that he would do his best to send out his team to start looking for Tunde. And that was the last time I set my eyes on Tunde until he became an adult. Tunde ran and walked for over 7 hours, and he went from our place at VGC to Oshodi. He asked some resellers for some food, and they had pity on him and gave him food to eat. Around 1 a.m., he looked for a very good spot at the Oshodi underbridge to rest. At 2:30 a.m., while he was sleeping, some group of armed robbers began walking towards him. Oh boy, wake up! One of the robbers shouted as he tried to drag Tunde from where he lay. Leave him, na small boy. And besides, it be like say I like the boy. He get mind, the gang leader said. Small boy, wetin you dey do here? You no get mama for house. The gang leader asked. My mother is dead, and I have a stepmother, but she will kill me at home because my stepsister framed me for breaking her expensive plates. That's why I ran away, because it doesn't make any difference. It's better I get killed here than to be killed by my stepmother. Tunde explained, Your father, uncle, the gang leader asked again. My father is not always around, and besides, his love for my stepmother wouldn't make him see or understand what's happening. Tunde replied, Okay, we no go kill you. In fact, right now, you go follow us go our bunk so that you go rest. You hear? The gang leader assured. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Tunde said with little excitement and anxiety at the same time. The robbers took Tunde and left Lagos to their own base. They took care of Tunde and sponsored his secondary school education. But when he got to 19, he was initiated into the gang so that he can care for himself. He was able to use the money he got from his operation to see himself through the university, studying law. And by the time Tunde graduated from the university, he was a very hardened robber, but did his robbery intelligently. A few years after graduation and having accomplished his aims and objectives, Tunde decided he would stop the robbery life and turn a new leaf. He went full time into his law practice and decided to investigate his family. He had not forgotten how his stepsister treated him and indirectly got him into a life of crime. He returned to Lagos and went in search of his family. He discovered that Judith was now working as a vice president marketing at his father's oil servicing firm. and Jess had resigned to become a stay at home wife while the company was practically being run by Dave and Judith. He began his background investigations and found out that his mother was actually abandoned by his father, and he was having a secret affair with his stepmom while still married to his mom. Enraged, he started digging deep into his father's company and discovered a lot of leaks and money laundering activities happening behind closed doors. He sent tips to EFCC and ICPC, who did their investigations and found them guilty. Both Dave and his mom were prosecuted and jailed for crimes bordering on fraud and money laundering. Judith found out that she had AIDS. She didn't catch up on it before it became full blown AIDS, and she couldn't bear the shame of it, so she unalived herself. Jess couldn't bear the brunt of her husband going to jail and her daughter unaliving herself, and her heart failed her. She had a stroke, went into a coma, and passed on. Tunde found a way to visit his father in jail. He looked him in the face and told him, I did this and I have no regrets. Thank you.